Well, it's no secret Australia is in the grip of an ice epidemic, and it appears that the drug does not discriminate. The Police Minister for the Northern Territory, Peter Chandler, has revealed his own son, Brandon, is struggling with an addiction to ice after the 21-year-old had another run-in with the law. And Police Minister Peter Chandler joins us now live from Darwin. Peter, thank you so much for joining us. I imagine this has been an incredibly difficult time for you and your family. Opening up about this to the public must have been hard.
Look, Lisa, certainly it is a hard thing to talk about, but it again proves that, we're part of the real world, and this is a real world problem. And as Police Minister, we're working really, really hard to deal with this issue behind the scenes. And when you are so close to it, like myself and my family is, it is really difficult to deal with.
How long have you been aware of Brandon's problem?
Look, I would say for the last 4 or 5 months. It was about 6 months ago that we started to see a change in his behaviour, where he come far more distant towards his own brothers and sister, my wife and I, and of course the change in his attitude about his life. He went from a kid that was exceptionally fit, was always looking at exercise, to and focused on a job, to today where he's very much removed from that. Although I couch that by saying in the last 6 to 8 weeks there's been a remarkable turnaround with Brandon, and of course with the support of Robin and myself, and of course the rest of the family. We're trying to work through this as a family to get on top of this scourge that ice is.
Do you know how it began, Peter?
We think it started through a relationship that he'd formed with a young lady, and it's gone from there. And as a family, we tried to do all we could to establish a closer relationship. But towards the end, to the point where we, as a wife and myself, physically threw Brandon, his girlfriend, and a 3-year-old out on the street. And I can tell you, as a father, that's probably one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. But we had got to a point where we had tried everything, and look, there seems to be a sense of distancing themselves from reality. There's no if you like, feeling of love. There's no feeling that they're hurting us when somebody, your own siblings, are stealing from you. And when they're causing great heartache to their own brothers and sister, you really get to the end of your tether. And we did throw them out, but we knew after a week to 10 days of them being on the street, that wasn't going to work. And so we as a family made the decision to bring them back in and to provide them all the support we possibly could to get them through this. And we take this one day at a time.
That has got to be the ultimate dilemma as a parent, trying to work out what's best for the family that isn't on drugs, that's at home, and working out what's best to get the best possible result for your child. But Brandon has said that he's realised the effect that it's having on the family, and he does want to turn his life around. How is he doing right now?
Well, I think, as I said, it's just one day at a time. He's more focused today. I mean, I can see clearly that he's not on the drug at the moment. People's skin clears up. The fact that he's now understanding that the tragedy that he's brought on this family, that the effect that he's had on his own brothers and sister, he can see that clearly now, and you can only see that when you're not on the particular drug, ice. It is devastating, but I think the only way to deal with something like this is not only through education, but also through family support. Having him on the street, knowing that there were nights where they were, say, couch surfing, to the point where I had information that led me to believe that they were in a park one night because they had nowhere to go. And when you're out late at night driving around looking for where your own children are, it's pretty hard. And for me, in the position that I hold, I think it makes it stronger because I can empathise, but I can also understand what works and what doesn't work when dealing with this tragedy that ice is becoming in our community. So to help us through developing policies, help us through developing a program that's going to work, being close to it, I think I'm in the best place to make those kind of decisions.
And Peter, we know that the National Ice Task Force was announced earlier in the year, but There are an untold number of parents who are going through exactly what you're going through right now, or who have teenagers and they want for all the world to make sure that their kids don't go through this. What would be your advice to them?
Well, first of all, my heart bleeds for them. The reality, I've seen firsthand what this particular drug, any drugs, can do to a family, how it can tear at the very fabric of that family. I mean, my kids grew up in a loving environment. They've never seen their parents fight. They've never seen violence in the home. They've never seen any of that. And in the last few months, they've been witness to all of it, all because of a child that is wrapped up in this curse that ICE is. And I say, wrap your kids up, keep them close, and educate your children to stay off this stuff. We've got to build up the resilience in kids today that they never once want to get on this stuff in the first place.